The execution that was meant to break humanity. The arena aboard the Imperial flagship Varquez Dominion was designed for awe, terror, and spectacle. Steel crescents arched overhead like the ribs of some ancient beast, polished to a mirror shine that reflected the thousands of alien spectators filling the stands. Holoscreens hovered in the air, broadcasting the event live across the Galactic Empire. The execution that would end humanity's defiance once and for all. In the center of the arena, a circular platform rose from the floor with a low mechanical rumble. Shackled to its surface, bruised and gravely wounded, yet unmistakably unbroken, stood the woman known across the galaxy by one whispered name. Baba Yaga. Her real name was classified. Her past was classified. Her missions were classified. But her existence was not. Every soldier in the Empire knew her legend. How entire battalions once vanished when she was deployed. How assassination attempts mysteriously backfired. How she walked out of siege on Europa with a child in her arms and an enemy warlord unconscious behind her. She was humanity's shadow, its weapon, its whispered threat. And today, she was to be publicly erased. 2 reptilian guards dragged her forward, talons digging into the metal as they kept distance from her wrists, as if she might break free any second. Their caution was not theatrics. Even beaten and bound, Baba Yaga seemed to carry danger around her like an aura. Across from the platform, seated upon an obsidian throne, was the Emperor's voice, a towering insectoid noble whose chitinous plates gleamed gold beneath the arena lights. When he rose, the stands fell silent. "Humans," he said, his voice amplified across the stadium. "Your spirit ends today." The cameras swiveled, broadcasting his words across thousands of worlds. Human colonies watched. Allied species watched. Even rogue mercenary networks watched, sitting in dim bars and silent hideouts as the Empire staged its power. "This creature," the Emperor's voice continued, gesturing to Baba Yaga, "has been your myth, your weapon, your symbol of resistance. For years, she has disrupted our campaigns and murdered our commanders. Today, we demonstrate that even humanity's monsters bow before the Empire." He leaned forward, mandibles spreading in what passed for a smile. "Your defiance ends with her death." The crowd roared in approval. Baba Yaga lifted her head. Her lip was split, one eye swollen, but her gaze remained clear, sharp, disturbingly calm. She looked directly into the floating holocamera before her, into the eyes of every human watching across the stars. 17 minutes, she whispered. The Emperor's voice tilted his head. "Speak up, prisoner." Her voice did not rise. It didn't need to. 17 minutes. A ripple of murmurs coursed through the stands. Analysts in the control rooms frowned, trying to place the phrase. Some aliens dismissed it as delirium. Others remembered human warnings were rarely meaningless. But before anyone could react further, the execution shields activated, columns of shimmering energy rising around her. The arena lights dimmed. The Emperor's voice raised a spindly arm. "Let humanity witness the end of its nightmare." A beam of blinding blue energy erupted from the crucible. The platform trembled. The holoscreens zoomed in on Baba Yaga's silhouette, dissolving into incandescent dust. When the light faded, nothing remained but scorched metal. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause. The Emperor's voice spread his arms in triumph. "The shadow of humanity is extinguished." Across the Empire, broadcast shifted to commentary panels. News anchors declared victory. Imperial generals met in celebratory clusters. Human colonies fell silent, some from grief, others from disbelief. But deep in the Empire's command bridge, one officer, a young analyst with pale blue skin, couldn't let the words go. 17 minutes, she murmured. "What happens in 17 minutes? A senior advisor scoffed. "Nothing." She was taunting us. But the analyst tapped her monitor nervously. Humans don't taunt without reason. While debate simmered, the Empire's flagship continued its celebratory transmission. The arena lights cycled to a soft glow. Technicians flooded the platform, to confirm the execution was complete. 1 minute. Across the ship, subtle anomalies began to appear. A flicker in the gravitational stabilizers. A brief sensor blackout. A second of audio distortion in the Imperial anthem. Not enough to raise alarms. Just enough to whisper that something was wrong. 10 minutes. The anomalies intensified. Temperature fluctuations. Ghost signals on long-range arrays. A single human encryption packet detected, but dismissed as static. 14 minutes. Now officers were concerned. Entire sensor decks glitched simultaneously. Communications dropped for 3 full seconds. 16 minutes, 30 seconds. The command bridge descended into chaos as every external channel blinked offline at once. The Emperor's voice demanded explanations. No one had any. And then, 17 minutes. The lights died. Every holoscreen went black. Silence. In the arena below, technicians froze as a soft hum filled the air. A ripple, like a heat wave, shimmered across the execution platform. Dust lifted from the metal floor, swirling. Footsteps echoed in the dark. A silhouette emerged as emergency lights flickered back on. Standing in the exact place she died, alive, unharmed, and looking as though she had only taken a calm breath, was Baba Yaga. She lifted her head. Her voice carried through the stunned silence. 17 minutes, she said softly. That's all humanity needed. And somewhere beyond the stars, something vast and human was moving. Approaching. 17 minutes later, the arena was no longer a stage. It was a tomb of silence. Every alien in the stands sat frozen, their eyes wide, mandibles slack, breathing halted. Technicians who moments earlier had strutted across the execution platform now stood paralyzed mid-step, tools clattering from their numb fingers. The woman who had died, who had been disintegrated, stood at the center of the platform exactly as she had 17 minutes earlier. Baba Yaga, not a clone, not a hologram, not a projection. Her boots pressed against the scorched metal. Her shadow fell across the execution sigils. Her chest rose and fell with calm, measured breaths. She looked alive, real, and impossibly dangerous. A trembling guard raised his rifle. Stay where you are. Her eyes shifted toward him, not cold, not angry, more like disappointed. Don't, she said. The guard fired anyway. A blue bolt screamed through the air, scorching the air as it raced toward her skull. It passed through empty space. Baba Yaga had moved, not fast, not with any superhuman burst of speed, but with a simple sidestep so fluid the eye barely registered it. The bolt slammed into the far wall, exploding in a shower of sparks. The guard dropped his rifle and staggered back in raw terror. From the Emperor's balcony above, the Emperor's voice rose, towering and trembling simultaneously. "Ow!" he screeched, voice cracking under the strain. "You were reduced to atoms. Nothing biological survives a crucible beam." Baba Yaga tilted her head. "Nothing of yours," she corrected. Her voice wasn't loud, but it carried across the arena, through the broadcast feeds, into the control rooms and military stations across the Empire. The cameras had rebooted, drawn to her like insects to light. Billions watched, jaws slack, realizing the nightmare they believed subdued had only been paused. A dozen elites rushed forward at the Emperor's command, forming a defensive arc with plasma shields raised. They moved with military precision, years of training guiding every step. Baba Yaga didn't move. She simply looked at them and said the sentence that would later echo through every star system in the Empire. "Our forces are approaching." The lights flickered again, longer this time. Emergency sirens hiccuped, then fell silent. A deep thrum rolled through the flagship's hull, strong enough to vibrate through the bones of everyone aboard. The Emperor's voice backed away. "What does that mean? What forces?" Baba Yaga lifted her chin slightly, hearing something no one else could yet. Humanity stopped being alone 17 minutes ago. Before the guards could react, she moved. One moment she stood on the scorched platform. The next, she was beside the nearest elite soldier, hand gently touching his shield generator. Sparks jumped. The shield collapsed. The soldier collapsed with it, unconscious but alive. Her restraint was somehow more terrifying than violence. Security officers watching from the command deck panicked. Deploy the null field. Now! A generator deep within the arena hummed to life, flooding the space with a shimmering distortion. The null field was designed to disable stealth tech, dampen psychic pressure, block teleportation, and neutralize exotic energy sources. Baba Yaga walked through it, as if strolling through warm mist. What? What is she? A technician whispered. Human, she answered without looking back. Just evolved on purpose. The null field stuttered and died. In the command bridge above, alarms finally erupted at full volume. Unidentified signatures appearing at the system's edge, a communications officer shouted. Massive readings, far beyond any known human fleet. The Emperor's voice snarled. Impossible. Humanity has no such armada. Another officer screamed over him. Ships incoming. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. The Emperor's voice turned back to the arena, mandibles quivering. You're bluffing. Baba Yaga stared up at him. 17 minutes, she said again. We kept our promise. A deep resonance shook the Varkez dominion. The windows around the arena dimmed automatically as something enormous emerged from hyperspace. Shadows rippled across the external plating. The audience turned, staring through the viewport walls as colossal shapes materialized beyond the flagship. Human warships. But not the human warships the Empire remembered. No awkward alloys, no outdated shielding, no weak chemical thrusters. These vessels were angular, obsidian, humming with energy signatures the Empire had no classification for. Their hulls rippled faintly, as if reality itself bent around them. The Emperor's voice stumbled backward, losing all regal posture. What have you done? He whispered. Baba Yaga finally descended from the platform, each step measured, steady, inevitable. We stopped hiding, she replied. Across multiple star systems, Imperial citizens watched the impossible unfold on their screens. Human ships emerging from nowhere, gravity waves strong enough to destabilize entire fleets. A woman who resurrected after being disintegrated. Fear spread, but not for humanity. Fear spread for the Empire. Inside the command deck of the human flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Saran watched Baba Yaga's resurrection feed with clenched teeth. She exhaled slowly. She made it through. A nearby officer nodded. Phase transfer network stabilized her pattern. The Witchwind protocol worked. For the first time, Saran murmured. And the last, if she has her way. The officer hesitated. Should we signal her? No, Admiral Saran said. She'll call us when she's done. She always does. Back in the arena, Baba Yaga stopped at the foot of the Emperor's balcony. She didn't climb the stairs. She didn't raise a weapon. She simply looked up and repeated the words the Empire would never forget. Our forces are approaching. And outside, the sky filled with human ships answering her call. The day humanity stepped out of the shadows. The sky above the Empire's capital world darkened as if night had fallen abruptly, though it was midday. Citizens stared upward from marketplaces, balconies, and transit platforms, shielding their eyes from the glare of unfamiliar blue-white distortions rippling across the atmosphere. Then the shadows appeared. Human warships, sleek, angular, obsidian vessels, slid from the folds of warped space like predators emerging from deep water. Hundreds, then thousands. They formed a perimeter around the planet in perfectly synchronized formation, an iron ring of ships so vast it blotted out continents. Every Imperial screen across the galaxy lit up with the same message from terrified broadcasters. Humanity has arrived. Inside the Varkez Dominion, the Emperor's voice staggered backward as long-range tactical displays updated. The screen bloomed with red warnings. Quantum anomalies detected, gravitic displacement, weapons signatures unknown. How do they hide this? He shouted, mandibles rattling in panic. Baba Yaga simply watched him from below, hands folded behind her back. For centuries, she said quietly, Your empire assumed humanity was loud, chaotic, primitive, easy to measure, easy to anticipate. She tilted her head slightly as a massive human dreadnought slid into orbit. The Horizon Breaker, a ship so large its shadow passed across the flagship's viewport. We let you believe it. The Emperor's voice gripped the balcony railing until it cracked beneath his claws. This is impossible. Humanity doesn't have this technology. Baba Yaga smiled faintly. We built it where you weren't looking. In the human flagship Resolute Dawn, Admiral Saran paced before the holographic projection of the Empire's capital world. Her officers watched her with tense anticipation. All human fleets report successful emergence, a navigator said. We're receiving tactical data from Baba Yaga's device. She's mapping internal defenses in real time. Saran nodded. Deploy shock battalions. Drop pods on my mark. The lights dimmed as the battalion bays opened. Rows of armored Marines stood ready inside their pods, silent, focused, each carrying gear that blended Earth alloys with stolen alien tech. They had trained for this moment for years. Execute, Saran said. A tremor rippled through the Resolute Dawn as the first wave of pods fired. Thousands of blazing streaks entering the atmosphere like meteor showers. Humanity's strike had begun. Inside the Imperial capital's command tower, alarms shrieked. Generals barked orders, scrambling to deploy countermeasures. Anti-orbital guns activated across the city, firing beams into the sky. They never hit anything. Each beam bent, refracted, or simply vanished before reaching its target. What is interfering with our cannons? A general roared. A technician stared at readings in disbelief. Sir, the humans are projecting reality anchors. They're stabilizing space around their ships. Our weapons can't calculate firing solutions. The general froze. Reality anchors were theoretical prototypes. No Empire scientist had ever built a functional version. But humans had, and they were using them flawlessly. On the ground, chaos erupted. Human drop pods crashed into plazas, fortress courtyards, and military zones, boiling the air around them. Their doors blew open, and Marines stormed out, moving with precise, terrifying coordination. These were not troops fighting for conquest. They were troops reclaiming something taken. A pair of alien soldiers attempted to flank a human Marine squad. But before they could fire, a ripple of distortion shimmered behind them. A human drone, no bigger than a fist, floated silently, projecting a holographic decoy of empty air. The aliens never saw the Marines move. In seconds, the squad neutralized them with non-lethal shock rounds. A commander approached the downed aliens. We're taking prisoners alive, she ordered. Humanity didn't come for civilians. Only for those who made themselves enemies. Word spread quickly. Humans weren't slaughtering indiscriminately. They cared where the Empire never had. This terrified the Empire even more. Back aboard the Varkez Dominion, the Emperor's voice watched the invasion unfold in horror. This can't be happening, he whispered. Your species was unremarkable. You should never have been a threat. Baba Yaga stepped closer to the balcony, looking up at him with calm eyes. You mistake modesty for weakness, she said. Humans learned long ago that the loudest species become the first targets. So we changed strategy. The Emperor's voice backed away. You lie. Humanity has never been capable of subtlety. Not until we needed to be. She paused. And you made us need to be. The word struck harder than any weapon. Outside, the Empire's capital dome shook as Baba Yaga's forces breached the defense grid. Shields flickered and collapsed. Human Marines advanced through the capital streets, leaving stunned aliens in their wake. Some rescued, some arrested, but none ignored. In less than an hour, the outer defensive rings fell. Entire districts surrendered, waving improvised white flags. Alien civilians huddled together in fear, but human medics moved among them with scanners and rations. You're safe, one medic told a trembling child. We're not here for you. The child stared up, confused. Empire propaganda had painted humans as ravenous, warmongering monsters. Yet here they were, protecting the helpless. Rumors spread like wildfire. Humans aren't killing civilians. They're treating our wounded. They're different from the Empire. That message became humanity's greatest weapon. In the flagship arena, Baba Yaga finally turned from the Emperor's voice. "It's over," she said. "Your fleets are surrendering. Your citizens are laying down arms. Your empire is crumbling from within." The Emperor's voice trembled, unable to form words. Baba Yaga stepped off the arena floor, heading toward the exit as human ships filled the sky beyond the glass. "The day humanity hid is over," she said. Then she paused, glancing back at him with something like pity. "You thought killing me would break us, but humans don't break." She left him there, alone, surrounded by the failing echoes of his empire. Outside, the sky burned with the arrival of humanity's full strength. A new age had begun. The day humanity arrived. 17 minutes. That number had already become a curse in the corridors of the Imperial War Citadel. Every alien officer, every general, every strategist replayed those minutes in their minds, because those 17 minutes were the gap between the death of Baba Yaga and the beginning of their extinction. The commanders had not slept since the anomaly opened. They had not stopped running scans, analyzing trajectories, or attempting to predict the impossible. Because the impossible had walked out of the rift wearing a human face and speaking human words. Our forces are approaching. Now, the approaching forces had arrived. The first human fleet dropped out of FTL like thunder given shape. No gentle deceleration, no elegant glide. This was an entrance meant to intimidate. Their 1,000 ships appeared with brutal precision, blinking into orbit as if punched through reality. Light bled off their hulls. Energy readings spiked. The Empire's long-range defense grid instantly overloaded, several relay stations detonating from sensor shock alone. On the command deck, silence fell. The humans were here, and they were not hiding it. The UNS Nemesis, leading the armada, unfurled its shield petals like some armored celestial flower, revealing a forward cannon that dwarfed even the largest Imperial battleship. Its captain, Admiral Idris Vance, appeared on every Imperial channel simultaneously. Uninvited, unstoppable. "Empire," he said calmly. "You killed one of ours. You attempted to enslave 5 more. You crossed a boundary you do not understand. This is your final opportunity for surrender." The Emperor himself replied, voice strained. "We watch her die. We executed her. We saw her body fall." Behind Vance, the bridge crew barely reacted. They all knew the truth. "We know," Vance said. "She died. You killed the woman." He leaned in closer, but not the weapon. As if on cue, a second rift opened, larger than the first, ripping a visible scar in space. It swirled with energy that distorted gravity itself. The Imperial fleet scrambled to reposition, several ships drifting out of formation as their stabilizers strained to compensate. Then she stepped through. Baba Yaga, alive, reborn, terrifying in her calm. But she wasn't alone. Behind her came 5 more women, the abducted humans, no longer terrified captives, but armored operatives wearing unfamiliar tactical suits infused with hyperliminal circuitry. Their eyes glowed with the same halo that circled Baba Yaga's. The Empire panicked. Energy readings off the scale. Gravity inversion spreading. "She's moving. How is she moving at that velocity?" And then Baba Yaga spoke, not to her fleet, but to the Empire. "You ended the woman I used to be. Thank you." It unshackled what slept. Her voice carried a resonance that was not entirely human. Something old, something engineered, something awakened. The Emperor's composure finally fractured. "What are you?" "The answer," Baba Yaga said, "to your mistake. Humanity had assumed, for centuries, that biological and cognitive enhancements were the apex of their evolution. They were wrong. Hidden deep in black-budget research divisions were projects abandoned because they worked too well. Among them, Project Mortalis, the creation of hyper-resilient operatives capable of surviving death by transferring consciousness into quantum anchors. It was banned. It was buried. Baba Yaga had been one of the prototype candidates, never activated, until she died. Her eyes flickered with a storm of quantum light. 17 minutes, she said softly. That's how long it took to finish what you started. The 5 women behind her raised their palms. Rings of energy formed, silent, bright, expanding. The Empire fired first. A wall of red plasma shot toward the rift. It disintegrated before touching them. Then the human counterstrike began. The 5 women unleashed arcs of gravitational compression that folded Imperial cruisers like paper. Baba Yaga herself moved. One moment stationary, the next tearing through the hull of an enemy dreadnought at a speed that sensors labeled impossible. She wasn't fighting like a soldier anymore. She was fighting like a phenomenon. Admiral Vance didn't even need to issue attack commands. The fleet simply followed her lead. Human ships launched precision strikes that bypassed shields entirely, targeting weak points the Empire didn't even know were detectable. Within minutes, the outer defense ring shattered. Within 10 minutes, half the Imperial fleet was either fleeing or offline. By the 17th minute, the number that would haunt galactic history, the Empire's military backbone had collapsed. Baba Yaga returned to the command deck of the Nemesis in a flicker of light. Not a flash, not a teleport. A flicker, like reality correcting itself around her. She stood before Admiral Vance. It's done, she said. Begin Phase 2. Phase 2. Every human officer nodded grimly. The Empire would not be conquered. It would be restructured. Humanity was not here for revenge alone. They were here to ensure no species, no empire, no power in the galaxy would ever again believe that humans could be threatened without consequences. Baba Yaga gazed at the ruins drifting through space. They thought killing one person would break us, she murmured. But humans don't break. We evolve. And then she gave the final order. Transmit the announcement. The era of human fear is over. The Nemesis lit its engines. The galaxy braced. Humanity had arrived.